Hey guys, it's Rich, and I'm going to do kind of an update. This is actually going to be questions that have been gathered through the last 6 to 8 months. Comments on my videos that I have not gotten around to answering individually, and so I'm going to answer them in this video. So I'm going to get right into these because yeah, this is going to be a long video, and I hope it doesn't get too excessively long. I do apologize for the lighting situation. I'm not using my lighting filters and all that other stuff. Sorry about the lighting if that bothers you. I also, if you're wondering about the glare or the whatever that's coming up from over here, it's because I have my computer open, to which I will be reading the comments, and then you'll see them on the screen and whatnot. So anyway, so the first one comes from Rose Noir 90, who writes, Rich, I personally see the Magdalene as an avatar of Sophia, as I see Yeshua as the avatar of Christ, or Logos, as I tend to call him. So for me, they are the same in a sense. I personally believe both Yeshua and Magdalene were born human and attained gnosis and connected them to deity. I usually use Magdalene as the mother, or as the maiden daughter form of Sophia, though she also has aspects of the triple goddess in herself. I'd recommend meditating on the Magdalene. Invite her in for a chat and see how you connect with her. Okay. In the past, I would have said that I don't connect with Mary Magdalene at all, and that's actually not the case anymore. I kind of do see her as the avatar of Sophia. It is something that I've been contemplating for a long time now, and yeah, I can say pretty comfortably that I tend to fall in that same category as you explained here. I see that as a uh, very logical step to make, and yeah, I see no problem with that. So yes, thank you for the comment on that. I have taken your suggestion, and I have been thinking about that even before I saw this one. This is about probably a little over 6 months ago, probably closer to 7 months now. So, yes, I have been thinking about that for a long time, probably the better part of a year now. And yeah, I can say that Mary Magdalene, especially lately, has become more of an influence, and more of a personification of Sophia. So, yes, I can agree with that. The next one comes from Evan, who I must say is probably one of the most knowledgeable theologians out there. Evan and I have talked for many years on different theological basis, and we've had a lot of brainstorming sessions, is basically where I'm going with this. He left a comment on the new moon video that I did, and he writes, my energy cycles are very directly connected to the moonlight. I can barely get to sleep on full moons, and I am rarely tired. Unfortunately, this also means that I'm very exhausted during the dark moon. Never really been a fan. I haven't attended much recently, but one of my favorite ways to celebrate the new moon is Rosh Chodesh, live rites on the One Shul website. I have not been to this website, but if Evan is suggesting it, I would also suggest people go and check that out. I will be doing the same here in the future. Like I said, haven't been to the One Shul website, but I will be checking that one out. So thank you for that suggestion, and I'd like to get other people's opinions if you've been to this website, what you think of it. The next one comes from Sarah, who commented on one of the Christo-Pagan series videos, and they write, I've watched most of your vids in the series so far, and while informative, they seem very general pagan concepts and lessons. As it's titled Christo-Paganism, I would personally like to hear more about how The Christian elements of faith and practice are blended into these topics from your beliefs and other Christo-Pagans you might have seen. For example, how a Christian might find the goddess, or if Yahweh is the only God to be worshipped, or using spells which part of the Bible dismisses. How should we look to the Bible as a pagan or witch? Now, these are some questions that I will be going more towards later in the series on the differences in the biblical history and the biblical translations, and what they are now is not exactly what they start out from. I will be doing stuff like that in the future on biblical history, what the Bible might have said in the past and what it says now and how I take it. I will do a video in the future on my views on the Bible and stuff like that, because not everything for me is so cut and dry as it is with some people. How you might find a goddess, I think I covered that one, and I will cover it in greater detail in the future. Mostly, it takes a lot of meditation and open heart and, being ready. It's not exactly something that is to be taken lightly. I don't think anything should be really taken lightly, especially whenever it's something as serious as your religion. I mean, it's not to say that you shouldn't have fun with your religion and that some things can't just be a little on the silly side. It's that, a lot of this stuff is serious stuff and should be taken as a serious issue. So, finding a goddess, I don't think that finding a goddess should just be a flippant thing where you go out, you research, and that's, a goddess that you end up working with. I think it's more of, at least for me, it's the fact that I need to be ready to accept a goddess into my practice more than it was that, I just pick a goddess out of the air. There is a lot of readiness that has to come along with accepting a goddess into your practice. I think I've talked a little bit about the Yahweh concept, or the Drayton concept, that I know is prevalent in some Wiccan traditions and some other pagan traditions. But basically you have this all source, the universal source energy, and then you have other deities that are right below, and that's kind of where I put Christ and Sophia and Mary Magdalene and all them, Apollo, Zeus, all of them. They are all extensions of this all source, and it's very much the Drayton concept that everything comes from one source energy. So for me, that's I think there are many ways to worship that deity, that all concept, and I think everybody finds their own way to do that. Just like being a Christo-Pagan, for me, it's worshiping through Christ. But it can also be seen as, in many other religions, as worshiping an all source or a universal source energy. It's the Drayton concept, and I keep on saying that, thinking that it's making things clearer, but it's probably not. Anyway, Raphael posts, a bit late to the party, but great explanation on the elements, mate. Very helpful. I've tried the board meeting, and it was also very useful. For some reason, I was under the impression I could not just summon them to my mindscape, but rather had to let them come in when they wanted to. Idiotic, but there you go. Helped me through certain niggling issue I'd had trouble with for a while. Thank you for suggesting it. Going to have to start using the elementals more in my practice. In a way, it's very much philosophical, inner alchemical tools, but they are so much more than that. Building blocks of creation, sources of power, etc. Even the gods seem to draw power from a particular or sometimes two elements. Very interesting concepts. Looking forward to diving into other new videos. Been a little lax with keeping up lately. Would very would be very interested to see your perspective on crystals expanded to I have only just begun my studies in that area. Okay, thank you for all the wonderful comments on there, and I am going to eventually do a crystal series. I have a lot of stones. I got stones. Anyway, I got rocks. And I want to share my rocks. I'm just going to leave that one right there. Anyway, I have been saying for years that I want to do a crystal series. I have been saying that over and over, and it's become kind of a tagline that eventually I will get around to doing it. I am not the most connected with crystals. I know there are some people out there that are very connected to crystals and stones and whatnots. And I love those videos. I think they are very empowering for anybody that wants to start delving into crystals and gemstones and whatnot. But I'm not that learned on them, and I need to study my stuff and, get more connected with them before I end up teaching them. So that's something that I continue to hope that I will be able to do in the future. I am no longer promising that I'm going to do it in the future, but I would really like to. So that's basically where I stand on the whole crystal issue. This one comes from James, and this is on the Christian Wicca book review. I kind of had a laugh with this comment. James says, Christians are not allowed to practice the biblical holidays in the Bible, which kind of seems contradicting your previous statement. Biblical holidays in the Bible. If it's in the Bible, it can be celebrated. Anyway, that seems contradictory, but okay, whatever. They are reserved for Judaism. Instead, the Goyim are told to practice the pagan holidays instead and gave us a New Testament that is simply a rehash of Greek mythology and tries to pass as actual history. Actually, I'm going to stop right there. There is evidence to suggest that things that happened in the New Testament actually did, in fact, occur. There's also evidence to suggest that it did not. Me personally, I think it did. And hopefully, eventually, archaeology will either prove or disprove that, especially since there's contemporary writings of the time that do suggest that there was a man named Jesus Christ that walked the earth, and that, he was an influential human being. So, for me, it's very much a fact in my mind. So, I don't really think it's a rehash of Greek mythology, but there are similarities, and I can agree with that. Second of all, I'm going to just say this, and little warning for anybody that is watching that does not like strong language. You might want to turn the volume down, because James, I will celebrate any fucking holiday I damn well please. If I want to celebrate Kwanzaa, if I want to celebrate Rosh Hashanah, I will celebrate any damn holiday I damn well please, because that is my right to celebrate those holidays if I please. If I do it respectfully and I do it with in a respectful manner with an open heart and everything, I think it's perfectly fine to celebrate any holiday I please. So you are not going to tell me that I can't celebrate a damn holiday. It's not your place to tell me how to run my religion. Anyway, moving on from that, James continues to say they can have their book back, fold it in 10 different ways, and ram it up their ass as Christians on the fence, which I'm not really on a fence. I pretty much know for the most part what I believe, so I'm not really on a fence about an issue. If I am quite, plain in saying what the jury is out on, such as reincarnation. I do have thoughts of it, but yeah, I'm undecided on whether or not it's something true. But I'm not a Christian on a fence. So Anyway, goes on to say, I challenge you to find the following words in the Bible, such as Sunday, or any day of the week, or any month, Christmas, Easter, Christianity. Just because it doesn't say it in there does not mean that it does not etymologically relate to those days, or to the months, or anything like that. That is a Julian calendar, not the calendar that was done by the Jewish people. That's why Rosh Hashanah is on a different day every year, and so is Hanukkah and all the other major holidays. But anyway, moving on from that. That doesn't mean that those holidays can't be celebrated or recognized. It's time to put two religions together and make them new again. Don't know quite where you're going with that. It sure beats listening to a priest spew hatred from a pulpit on Sunday, or bowing down before a sunburst monstrous, the Eucharist, on a pagan's son's day. Okay, yes, priests that spew hatred, don't agree with that. I think Christianity is very much a religion of love. If you actually go by the teachings of Christ, not necessarily what has been bastardized into the church nowadays, I can agree with that. But I don't quite know where you're going with the rest of this, and kind of just want to move on. So I'm going to do that. Rose, Kissing Roses, left a comment on the 77 question witchy community tag, part number 7. And me and Rose, and I hope she, I believe, identifies as she. If I get any of these pronouns messed up, guys, I really do apologize. I'm just going to call Kissing Roses Rose. And we've had a lot of back and forth conversations, and I really enjoyed them. But anyway, she says, at the 10-minute mark, on this point, I would be interested to see you make a video on the topic of how you use the Bible in your practice. That is an upcoming video. Probably a little bit down the road here, a little bit down the line. Coming from a Gnostic background, I tend to only really focus on the Gospels, on the 4 Gospels and the Nag Hammadi texts, which I have not read the Nag Hammadi texts, and I am very interested in getting into them. However, I find them also a little confusing because we don't have the complete text as far as we know. And either way you look at it, I am very interested in getting into reading them, but I have not gotten into reading them yet. So, yes. Basically, most of what concerns Christ, Sophia, Magdalene, etc. I did download the Catholic Bible recently, as it has the Apocrypha texts included, which I do plan to look at again, knowing more of what I'm getting into as opposed to the first time I read the scripture properly. I think Christo-Pagan Bible study group would be an interesting idea. More to come on that one. I have been talking to somebody, and I think that is something that I really should be doing, or it's something that I want to do. So whether I should be doing it or whether it will be received with open arms, or whether people aren't really going to do it or go along with the Bible study group, I, at very least will do it for my own edification. So that is something that will be coming down the pike in the far future. Maybe about 6 months or so. I may start up a Bible study group of some sort. So yes, if you are interested in that, go ahead and leave a comment in the bottom bar, and we can start getting some ideas on that one. As far as the Apocrypha, I actually bought just the Apocrypha. I also have a copy, an old copy, that is in storage. But I bought a copy through Amazon That is just the Apocrypha, because I have several regular King James Bibles laying around, but I do not have the Apocrypha because it is the Protestant version. So, yes, I haven't gotten into reading that yet, but it is something that very much intrigues me, as does the Nag Hammadi texts. So these are things that maybe on the plane ride from Korea to the States, maybe I'll get a chance to crack a book and start reading. So, yes, something that does intrigue me that I want to get into further. So, yes, thank you for that.